Have you ever whispered a prayer into what feels like an endless silence? Have you ever poured out your heart, only to be met with what seems like the cold, hard ceiling of heaven? That feeling, that aching disconnect, is one of the most common, yet most painful experiences in the life of a believer. It can make you question everything. Is God even there? Does He care? Or is there something wrong with me, something that's blocking my prayers? If that's you today, if your spiritual ears are ringing with quiet, then this message is your divine appointment. Stay with us, because we are going to dive deep into the heart of God and uncover 5 urgent messages He has for you in this very season of waiting. This is not about religious formulas. This is about relationship. And it all centers on one of His most precious promises. "For I know the plans I have for you," declares the Lord, "plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." That's Jeremiah 29:11. But to get to that promise, we must first understand the context of the prayer. So hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell for following Jesus daily, because what you're about to hear could change the way you pray forever. Continue. The first message from God in your season of quiet is this: I am not ignoring you. I am positioning you. We often approach prayer like a spiritual vending machine. Insert a fervent request. Wait for the immediate dispensing of the desired outcome. But God is not a machine. He is a masterful architect. Consider the context of Jeremiah 29:11. God spoke those iconic words to people in exile, to Israelites who felt utterly abandoned, far from home, their prayers seemingly bouncing back unheard. They wanted a quick rescue, but God's plan was for a 70-year process of growth and rebuilding. Your feeling of exile, your Babylonian captivity of the soul, might not be a sign of His absence, but the very ground upon which He is building your future. The silence isn't empty. It is purposeful. It is in the waiting that roots grow deep, that character is forged, that our superficial wishes are stripped away to reveal our deepest needs. You are praying for an answer, but God is often first answering a deeper prayer you haven't even uttered. The prayer to become more like Christ, to develop resilience, to learn dependency not on outcomes, but on His presence. The quiet is a classroom. The delay is not a denial, it is a divine alignment. Are you listening for the product, or are you perceiving the process? Continue message number 2. Cuts to the heart of our motives. I want your heart, not just your hand. We come to God with lists, with urgent petitions, with desperate hands outstretched for relief, for provision, for intervention. And He welcomes those. But what if, in our focus on what His hand can give, we neglect the intimacy His heart desires? The prophet Samuel said to King Saul, "Does the Lord delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as much as in obeying the voice of the Lord? To obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams." This is a seismic shift. God's primary concern is not the transaction of your prayer, but the transformation of your relationship through it. The perceived silence may be a loving refusal to engage with you on a merely transactional level. He is drawing you deeper. He is inviting you past the prayer closet door where you present your requests, and into the inner chamber where you simply rest in His presence. It is in the quiet where we learn to want the giver more than the gift. It is where we move from saying, "God, bless what I'm doing," to whispering, "God, what are you doing? I want to be part of that." Your prayers are not unheard. They are being used as the very thread to weave your heart more closely to His. Will you let go of the demand for an answer to embrace the offer of His companionship? Continue. The third message is a gentle but firm correction. Your no or wait is not my no or wait. We interpret God's responses through the limited lens of our immediate circumstances and our human understanding. We see a closed door and we think, God said no. We see a lingering season and we think, God is making me wait. But what if his silence is actually a grow? What if the closed door is not a rejection, but a redirection to a path you hadn't considered, one that leads to a future and a hope you cannot yet fathom? Isaiah 55:8-9 reminds us, For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. You are looking at a two-dimensional map, while God is orchestrating a multi-dimensional masterpiece. That relationship you're praying for, that job, that healing, your definition of a yes may be painfully narrow. God's definition encompasses your entire life story, your eternal good, and the good of his kingdom. The silence is space. It is the space where your finite no can be replaced by his infinite no, his knowing, perfect will. Trust in the silence means believing that what feels like an ending might actually be the unseen middle of a much greater story he is writing. Can you surrender your interpretation to his infinite wisdom? Continue forth. God whispers into your uncertainty, I am working in the unseen for your greatest good. This is the active, powerful truth behind Jeremiah 29:11. The Israelites in exile felt forgotten. But God was simultaneously working in the courts of Babylon, in the hearts of kings, and in the silent growth of a remnant that would return stronger. Your spiritual silence is not spiritual inactivity. Just because you cannot hear the construction does not mean the builder isn't building. Romans 8:28 is not a platitude, it is a bedrock promise. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Note the verb. God works. It is present, continuous tense. Right now, in the quiet of your prayer life, he is working. He is aligning personalities, softening hearts, orchestrating divine appointments, healing wounds you've forgotten, and preparing blessings you wouldn't dare to ask for. The most crucial growth of a tree happens underground, unseen. Your faith is being stretched not to break you, but to expand your capacity to receive the future hope he has promised. The silence is not a void. It is a workshop. The master craftsman is at his bench, and the masterpiece is you. Will you trust the work he is doing in the hidden places of your life? Continue. The fifth and final message is your call to action. Seek me, not just my answers. This brings us to the stunning, often overlooked verse that follows the famous promise. Jeremiah 29:12-13 says, Then you will call on me, and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. Do you see the divine progression? The promise of a hope and a future, verse 11, is inextricably linked to the promise of his presence, verse 13. The ultimate answer to every prayer is God himself. The silence may be his kindest gift because it forces us to move beyond treating him as a divine problem solver and to discover him as our supreme prize. He is not withholding to punish you. He is inviting you to a deeper seek. He is shifting your pursuit from the blessing to the blesser. So what do you do when prayers feel unheard? You pray differently. You shift from petitions to presence. You sit in the quiet and say, God, if all I get today is you, it is enough. You open his word not to find a verse to claim for your request, but to hear his voice, you seek him with all your heart. And in that seeking you will find. You will find peace that transcends understanding right in the middle of the unanswered. You will find a strength that is made perfect in weakness. You will find that the future and the hope he promised begins now, in the intimacy of a relationship where he is truly enough. Your prayers have never gone unheard. Every sigh, every tear, every whispered hope is recorded in heaven. But perhaps today, God is answering you not with a word, but with an invitation to seek his face, not just his hand, to trust his heart, even when you cannot trace his hand. The silence is not your enemy. It is the very canvas upon which God is painting your testimony. So, what will you do with the quiet? Will you fret in it, or will you find him in it?